the first thing you have to do as a Ciso or somebody who wants to become a Ciso is you have to do time blocking. Welcome to Life of a Ciso. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a Ciso and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a Ciso. Welcome, welcome, welcome to one of my favorite times where I get to record Life of a Ciso with yours truly, Dr. Eric Cole. It is always one of my favorite times because I love to share information, share knowledge, and love to build world-class Cisos. So are you ready? You ready? Let's go ahead and have some fun this week. So what I wanted to start doing at the beginning of each of my podcasts is sort of get a little bit of a format. Spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes on non-technical or non-strategic or directly non-CISO related activities, but things that will help you be successful and be world-class. Because let's face it, you can be the best translator. You can understand business. You can understand cybersecurity. You can communicate well with others. But if you are overwhelmed and you can't manage your time and you're spending all your time putting out fires, you're not going to be world-class. It's just not going to happen. So what I'd like to talk about here are a couple of little tips and tricks to managing, scheduling your time. And I'll give you a great example. I was coaching a person this week and he goes, Eric, we're understaffed. What a shocker, right? How many companies, I always love this when I'm doing a large live presentation. How many companies are overstaffed with security, right? Nobody raises their hand, right? I go, how many of you on Thursday afternoon, like 2 o'clock, you sit down with your security team and you know something? You guys can leave early today. We don't have anything to do. We're ahead of schedule on all of our projects. We don't have any issues, any challenges. We're doing awesome. We're way ahead on every single one of our metrics. So, you know something? Not only take off now at 2 o'clock on Thursday, but take a 3-day weekend, right? We don't have that much to do, and there's just not much prioritization going on. So just take a 3-day week, right? Nobody does that, right? I don't even think anybody would ever admit that they're even properly staffed when it comes to IT and security. So those are areas where you're never going to have enough time or enough resources to do everything. But here's one of my favorite quotes. You can't do everything, but you can do anything, which basically means if there's 1 or 2, 3 things that you want to do and absolutely must do, you can get them done. Now, you can't get everything done, but you can get the high priority items done. So the first thing you have to do as a Ciso or somebody who wants to become a Ciso is you have to do time blocking. You have to block out time every day to work on the strategy, work on the business. With me, because I'm running a business, an entrepreneur, and a founder and owner of a company, my time blocking is to make sure that every day I work on the business. The good part is, because I grew up technical and I grew up doing these roles, and when our company was one person, me, I did all of the roles. I can do any role in the company. Now, I shouldn't do every role in the company. I'll tell you right now, my team that I have is so much better, more efficient, and more experienced and smarter on this stuff. So I absolutely shouldn't be doing it, but I could be doing it. And that's a good thing because I can help the team and coach the team, but it's also a very, very dangerous thing because I could spend 10 or 12 hours a day working solely in the business. Now for CISOs, what you have to go about is, are you working on the strategy or are you working in the security department? Because there's not enough people, time, energy, and effort. And because most CISOs come from a security engineer, security background, and they know that world, they like that world, and they might even be comfortable with that world, right? Because some people that are CISOs shouldn't be CISOs. They should be world-class security engineers. That's what they're going to fall back on. So you want to make sure that every single day you're time blocking. Now you might go, but Eric, you don't understand. And this was a client I was coaching, goes, Eric, you don't understand. I am firefighting every single day. I have the best laid plans. I do your time blocking, like you said. But when I get to the office, everything else happens, fires occur, and all of that falls apart. I just can't follow that schedule. And I'm like, okay, let's get one thing straight. You don't want to follow the schedule. You could follow that schedule. And they started fighting with me a little bit. And I said, so let me get this straight. If your child or your spouse or yourself, depending on where you are, had an illness and you had an appointment at 3 o'clock on Monday to see a specialist, this was the best specialist in the country. It took you 3 months to get an appointment, and seeing this specialist is critical for the health and healing of your loved one. Are you telling me that if something happened or a fire occurred, you'd miss that appointment? Of course not. You would be there, which tells me that there are things that are more important. You just decided for some reason that working on the strategy wasn't that important. So if you had it scheduled at 3 o'clock and you're in the middle of a fire, you're not going to do it. But it proves to you that if you had something higher priority, like a family, medical, or emergency, you would absolutely do that. So I just want you to get your mind around that it's a decision. You absolutely could stop working on that fire at 3 o'clock and work on something else. You've just decided for whatever reason that you don't want to do that. So we need to make sure that we're prioritizing the strategy. The strategy should be the top priority. If you have 3 to 5 schedule, boom, it hits and you do that. So I'm talking with this person and they're like, Eric, you don't understand. Firefighting all day long. I'm like, okay. So you spend 100% of your time firefighting. And they said, yes. And I said, how many people are on your team? And they said, I have a 6-person security team and we all spend every day firefighting. I said, I have a question for you. What if the CEO of the company called you into their office and said, we're cutting your position in half. You're only going to be a fractional CISO, and the other 50% of your time, we're going to actually have you go to a different office and you're going to be running a different department. So from 8 to 12, you're going to be here running security. And then you're going to leave and during your lunch break. And then from 1 to 5, you're going to be working another job. And oh, by the way, our numbers haven't been good. We've been behind on deliverables and we're going to cut your team in half. So now you only have 3 people on your security team and you're only doing your job from 8 to 12. If that happened, it would be a little painful, but what do you think would occur within a month? You'd be in the same spot you are today. You'd be firefighting with half your time and 3 people. And guess what? A lot of things wouldn't change. You'd be automatically forced to prioritize the fires, and there'd be some lower priority fires that go away by themselves, and you would automatically adapt and adjust. Because it's an interesting thing. If I give you 5 hours to do a project, you'll take 5 hours to do the project, even if it's only a 30-minute project. And if I give you an hour to do a project, you'll take an hour to do it. And if I gave you 30 minutes to do the project, you'd get it done in 30 minutes. It's an interesting component of how we as humans manage to utilize and fill whatever time we're given. So if you're given 6 people and 10 hours to put out fires, you will put out fires with 6 people in 10 hours. But if I only give you 4 hours and 3 people, you will fight those same amount of fires. So what I want you to do is force yourself to limit the time that you have on distractions. Now you have the afternoons to work on strategy, and you have 3 people on your team to assist and help you. Now, I know And this is where it's not going to work because I've been there, done that. I'm just not somebody who's read some books and talk about the subject. I've been there, done that. I've been a CISO. I've been a security engineer. I've run businesses. I've sold businesses. So I understand and know what you're going to tell me is, Eric, it's not that easy. I know you're saying it's that easy and blah, 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 right? And you're using those examples, but it's not that simple. I just can't stop at 1 o'clock. And let me tell you, it is that simple. You don't want it to be that simple, and you want to justify it because the bottom line is this. Deep down inside, you enjoy the technical. You enjoy doing that. Because if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't make that a priority. So 2 things for those types of people. One is, are you really, really sure you want to be a CISO? Because if you want to do technical, tactical work for 10 hours a day and have your entire team do that, and you're leading a technical team, and that's what you do, and no matter what I say, no matter what tricks or tips I give you, you're going to keep justifying in your mind that that's the highest priority, then let's just face the reality that you're a world-class security engineer, that you just aren't meant to be a CISO. And that's not an insult. I know brilliant people that are doing amazingly well that are world-class security engineers, and that's cool. But don't force something that's not meant to be. Because the reality is, at the end of the day, if you really want to be a CISO, if you love the strategy, you love the business, you also like the technology because you're a translator, then there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't enjoy, love, or be able to easily justify 50-50. Half the day you're spending on the technical, tactical, leading the team and helping them, and 50% of your time, you're focused on the business, meeting with executives and strategy. Now, to be honest with you, that's a good CISO. That's a solid CISO. World-class CISOs typically are 75% of their time on strategy and business, and 25% of their time on tactical and security. And let me explain. On the technical side, you have a team, depending on the size of your organization, of 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 people. So you have, let's say, 15 people working on technical, tactical solutions to secure and protect the organization. On the strategy side, the cybersecurity strategy side, you might have 1 or 2 people. Some companies will give you a deputy, or you might have an EA, or you might have a project manager. So if there's 2 things that need to be done, the strategy and the technical, and you have 20 people on one and 2 on the other, you should put your time where there's less people, right? Because you have less delegation and less authority. Second, what is the area in the organization that is probably neglected and haven't been doing a great job? It's on the strategy side. Most organizations and clients, when they're bringing in a new CISO or creating the position of CISO, if I had to grade them, I would say on the technical, tactical side of cybersecurity, they're probably a B plus A minus. On the strategy side, they're an F, and the reason why they're creating the position. So if you're coming in where you have 2 things that need to be done and one is healthy and one isn't, you're going to need to spend more of your time on the area that isn't healthy. So ideally, once you're getting to the world-class status, it's typically a 75 strategy and 25% of the time on the tactical. Now, because of all those factors, in the beginning, you might actually even have to overcompensate. I've seen some CISOs, their first 90 to 100 days, they're 90 to 95% strategy, and they're 5 or 10% because they need to get engaged. They need to get the executives to understand security as a business enabler. They need to build those bridges. They need to get all of that set up. So you need to be spending more of your time, not less. So my general criteria when I'm working with CISOs is if you're less than 6 months and you're spending more than 30% of your time putting out fires, doing technical, tactical work with the security team, you're not going to be successful. And you need to have a real conversation is, do you really want to be a CISO? Because why are you spending so much time when you have a well-qualified team? Let the team do their thing. And you need to focus on strategy. And then after a year or two, I'll look the same. And once again, if after a year, you're spending 30 to 40% of your time on technical, tactical, I'm starting to get concerned, right? Because it should be 20 to 25%. So when you start, it's going to be 90 to 95% strategy, 5 to 10% technical, tactical. And then as you move through 6, 9, 12 to 18 months is where you should get into that stable stability, where you should be at about the 75-25% in terms of using your time and how to set it up. So just keep those as margins. Once again, there's no perfect formula. If you come back and tell me, Eric, I'm spending 70% of my time on strategy and 30% on technical, I'm probably going to say that's fine. That could be unique to the organization. But if you come back to me and say, Eric, I can only spend 30% of my time on strategy and 70% has to be on technical, there is no other option, Eric. You just don't understand our organization. There's too many problems, too many issues. This is how it has to be. My thing is, you're doing yourself, your employees, and your business a disservice. You should go to the executives and ask them to make you a senior scientist or chief scientist and be the world-class security engineer that deep down inside you really want to be. Because world-class CISOs do not fight and justify for spending 3/4 of their time on the technical side. And like I said, some people get mad at me. I might lose a few listeners, but if I do, the point is, I wish you all the success in the world, but you're not thinking or acting like a CISO, and it's not an insult. I don't know why people have this misconception that if you work in cybersecurity on the technical side and you don't eventually have the CISO title, you weren't successful. Let me just debunk that. That's total garbage because the world needs both. The world needs world-class security engineers and the world needs world-class CISOs. Two different career tracks. The problem is we think they're the same. They're not a single career track. They're separate. There's a strategic career track in cybersecurity, and there is a technical career track in cybersecurity, and we need to recognize that they are different. Now, once we got that out of the way and we realize you're going to do time block, the question now is, what should you do? What I like to do is I'm a morning person. Some people do this the night before. I like to do this in the morning when I wake up. But I have a piece of paper, and yes, I still have digital and iPads and Remarkable. I have a lot of tech. But for some reason, when it comes to planning, there's something that can't be replaced with paper and pencil. Just something physical about holding, touching, seeing, right, that you can't get away of. So I still do that. So every morning I have a notepad, and I go in and I write down today, what are the 5 most critical things that I need to focus on today in priority order? If I get nothing else done today, what are the highest priority items? Because let's face it, most people are not clear in their mind. Most CISOs are not crystal clear on their highest priority item. So when they have free time, they just do random things like checking email, researching, or doing other stuff that aren't high priority because their mind wants to be busy. They're going to just gravitate to whatever is easy, but they're not crystal clear on the target. So I find going in and writing down, like today, the number one thing I needed to do today, because it's a Thursday, is record this podcast. So that was number one on the list. So I had a couple things that I had to do, right? And I have a hearing. I do expert witness work, as many of you know. It's one of our lines of business, in about 40 minutes. So I said, okay, 40 minutes, this takes 30 minutes. This is the highest priority, and I did it. So now in a couple minutes when I finish up, I can cross this off my list. Then if I have some time later today, I have my next item and the next item. There is so much power in clarity, in being very clear of what you need to do. And I know this sounds simple, but out of all the super ninja tricks that I've taught people over the years, this is the one when I run into people a year, 2 years, 3 years later, they go, Eric, this changed my life. Not only do I do it, but my team does it. Where every evening or every morning, we write down what are the top 3 things or 5 things for the day, and those become our focus areas. Now, I will tell you, the benefit and value of doing it the night before is you have all the active data from that current day. So you could look at that day and say, okay, what needed to get done that didn't get done? What are those highest priority items that I need to focus on? And then you write them down. Then you read them 3 or 4 times before you go to bed. And now your mind is working as you're sleeping. Now, when you wake up in the morning, the list is already created and you're ready to go. So in a perfect world, I do recommend the night before. Sometimes I push myself that I'm tired, so tired because I get up at 4:30 in the morning that I can't always think and concentrate. So if I can, I'll do it in the morning, but it's always either one of the last things I do at the end of the day or one of the first things I do in the morning. But just here's the thing. Commit to trying this for 30 days. And the reason is simple. The first couple of days, getting used to it and forcing yourself, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. You're going to not really like it, and it's easy to throw it away. After 5 or 10 days, you're sort of in the rhythm, but the habit isn't really built. But if you do it for 30 days and just look at your productivity, you'd be amazed, because there is a lot of power in being deliberate, in deliberately determining what do I need to do and why do I need to do it. Now, that's the simplest and easiest. And hopefully you're putting the pieces together, but really the way this all works is this becomes part of your weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly planning. So you have your yearly goals, specific, measurable, achievable, risky, time-based, actionable, and relevant. So you have your key things you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Then in order to accomplish that in the next 12 months, what do you have to accomplish in the next 3 months? Then to accomplish those items in the next 3 months, what do you have to accomplish this month? And to accomplish these specific things this month, what do you have to do this week? Then to accomplish these specific things this week, what do you have to do today? So see how it all fits together. It all goes in. Now, some of them might be repetitive habits. So for example, one thing that is my highest priority every single day is exercising and meditating. That's a non-negotiable for me. So that's always going to be number one on my list. And except in rare occurrences, that's always going to happen as soon as I wake up. And yes, I've been known that even if I'm traveling and I have a 7 a.m. flight, I'll get up at 3 a.m. in the morning and I'll hit the gym at 4, be done 5:15, meditate, 5:45, shower, be at the airport by 6. Right? So it's once again, how important is it to you? How important is it for you to accomplish that? So some of those are daily things. Every day, the number one item on my list is going to be exercise. I believe that's critical for health. That's critical for mental clarity. That's critical for me to be focused. And it's critical for me to walk on the beach and show my six pack. No, I'm joking. Gotta have a little fun, right? So the point is that's always going to be number one. Then there might be some items that are weekly, like recording my podcast. I usually like to do that beforehand, but when it comes to Thursday, if it hasn't been recorded, because I have to give my team 3 days to process it so they can put the videos out starting Monday and then release it the following Thursday. It has to be done Thursday. So if we get to Thursday and I have not recorded my Life of a Ciso podcast, that becomes number 2. Then number 3 on my list right now is to finalize the growth and strategic plan for the Ciso certification. And I'm working with my team member on that. She's doing a great job, but that's my next one. So if I have 20 minutes today, if I get a break or the hearing runs a little shorter or something happens, as soon as I have time, boom, that's what I focus on. I go in, I start writing, I have the schedule, I have the plan, I know exactly what to do and what to accomplish. So you're going to have different things. You're going to have some that are daily routines that you want to build a habit. In me, the habit's built. I don't need to write down, go to the gym, but it's important that I want to put it there to always reinforce it. There could be some weekly things or there could be some one-time things. But the clearer you get of what needs to be done today to accomplish your weekly goals, to meet your monthly goals, to meet your quarterly goals, to meet your yearly goals, everything changes. Everything changes rapidly. The problem is most CISOs or people that want to be CISOs are on autopilot. We are doing things the way we've always done it. We're doing what we're comfortable with, which is normally the technology side of the house. And we're normally letting other people control and manage our schedules. What if we took control? What if you started prioritizing and started controlling what you focused on and when you focused on it? Everything will change for you. And that's one of the keys to being a world-class CISO. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Life of a CISO. As always, if there's topics or comments or feedback, please post them below. I love to hear from you. If you want to accelerate your CISO career and jump on our 6-month acceleration rocket fuel program called the Ciso Cert, go to secure-anchor.com/CISO, sign up for a consultation. One of my amazing team members will explain the 6 months, what you get, and how it can change your life. Until next time, continue to be world-class.